Good Sunday, everyone. I know what you're saying. It is an hour early. I know. And you know it is because of a very important reason. Why? Because we have an amazing guest today. So before I go into the formalities of it all, for those that have never met me or seen me before, my name is Beverly Johnson, owner of the Epic Health Coaching Academy. Yes, I know you're always used to me saying Genesis Fitness, but this year I am shifting into really redeveloping the Coaching Academy because the Coaching Academy is a more well-rounded version of helping you reach your goals using a 6-step method I named Change. But that is not what you're here to talk about. We are here to talk to the amazing, the incomparable Miss Latasha Matthews. Now, I'm just going to read a snippet of her bio because I want to know, how did she earn the moniker of America's emotional wellness expert? So today, what we're going to do is take about 30 minutes or however long the conversation goes, because you know when the conversation gets good, we don't stop it. We are going to talk to her so we can understand, how do we become emotionally whole, because that is something that we don't always talk about in our recovery. How do we become emotionally whole so we can show up in our best way possible? So without further ado, Miss Latasha Matthews. I need some
Well,
music.
what's up, everybody? What's up? Hey, y'all.
Hey, beautiful, how are you?
I am doing amazing. I am happy to be here with everyone on this beautiful Sunday.
We are happy to have you. You know, when we sat down a while ago and made plans, y'all, it was on me. I forgot about the Super Bowl. I totally forgot that the Super Bowl was last Sunday. And this is before I knew Usher was going to be performing on the Super Bowl. This is before I knew Audra Day was going to be singing at the Super Bowl. So it was me. It was your girl. I failed to realize that 2/11 was the day of the Super Bowl and all this magic. Oh, wait, wrong. I'm inverted. That all this magic was going to happen last week. So thank you, ma'am, for being kind enough to pivot for me.
No problem. We all enjoyed the Usher Bowl. And so it was a time was had. So we needed to move that. We made Black
And
history all over the
also,
place.
I have been having a time watching certain demographics discover Usher, because I saw this thing on TikTok and this lady said, "What's that song that go da 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 da?" She said, "You know the what?" And everybody was like, "Mama, please stop." They were like, "So y'all," she was like, "So you just not gonna tell me what it is?" They were like, "Please." They were like, "His name, yeah." They were like, she kept saying, "But what's the name of it?" Yeah. Okay, you keep telling me, yeah, but what is it? They were like,
Yeah, bless they heart. That's all we can say to that.
"I send you love." So, ma'am, tell us about yourself and how did you become America's expert?
Well, thank you for having me again. My name is Latasha Matthews, and I'll take you down a journey with me quickly.
Mhm.
Um, I think to accept a name and take a name comes with a lot of your own struggles and a lot of your own pain points. And so I started my journey in HR, and really learned about not being emotionally well. I think you have to know what you're not to be what you are. Um, and so I took that journey in HR, trying to help people be
Mhm.
their best selves, and recognize that I was losing myself in the process. And then as I transitioned into counseling, I began to study my craft. I studied human behavior. I studied some of the family of origin things that happen, particularly on our community, that impacts your wellness. And so after 12 years in HR and 13 years in private practice, academic settings, and working in 12 or 13 different counseling environments, I said, I am an expert at this stuff and I'm going to coin the name and eventually it will be trademarked. But right now, I believe that I am multifaceted and can use that name as America's emotional wellness expert.
So for a lot of us, because a lot of people think this whole thing about mental and emotional health has just shown up on the horizon. But this is something that I believe that in our community, we didn't have a vocabulary for. And we didn't know the importance. So can you please tell us the difference between mental health and emotional wellness? Because I think at some point they just have become interchangeable.
Yes, yes, yes. So definitely emotional well-being and mental health are closely related. But mental health encompasses a broader range of factors. It includes emotional, it includes psychological, and it includes social well-being. Typically, when we talk about mental health, we're talking about a diagnosis. There is a medical model that goes with mental health. And so a lot of times when we're thinking about mental health, that means you are probably needing to talk to someone that can help you with some of those things that mama didn't talk about years ago. So again, you stated that we didn't talk about mental health, nor were we able to talk about our emotional health at all in our community. And so it's interchangeable. When we talk about the mental, we also want to talk about just our overall well-being. That includes social, physical, financial, spiritual, intellectual, and all of the environmental. We can put it all in one pot. But if you want to focus on mental health, that means you have something probably going on mentally that you may need to address.
And I think some of it, we also need to emphasize that recognizing that you need help doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less Christian. It doesn't make you less inferior. Because I think for so long, again, our perspective is just through our community. And you've heard some people, because you've seen the jokes that, people are posting, mama, I'm depressed. And they go, well, depress them dishes. Going through things have always been the butt of jokes. And it's always, from my perspective, has created a space where if now at our big old ages, you want people to be communicative, they want them to be empathetic, but we weren't taught to be that.
Yeah, those are some specific skills that we didn't have time to get. You say too much, your lips may get popped off.
And it wasn't from a place. And I'll frame it this way: if that is what you subjected growing up with, you have to understand the generation that they were raised under.
Yes.
And if they were dealing with strife and struggle, their focus was they were survival mode.
Yes.
So it's hard to give you a space to expand and emote when you're in survival mode.
Yes, yes, but you make a good point. Now that we're in a different generation where space can be created, you have to raise your hand and say, I am struggling in this area. And this area could be empathy. This area could be expressing myself. And so I do think that with our TikTok therapists and all of the advocates for mental health and emotional well-being, there are spaces out there for all of us.
And, let's put a pin on the TikTok therapist. There's a few that I legitimately follow. And I will say, I'm inverted is my that I am so thankful that they're using their platform for advocacy. They're creating the language and the space for people to go, you know what has worked for you then is not going to work for you now. And it's time time for you to sit down and talk, work out you.
And I'm really thankful for them as well, because sometimes it makes my job easier when clients
Mhm.
come into my office, because the TikTok therapist had got them primed for the work that I'm going to do. So I'm thankful for all of them. If they had a little bowl, I throw them some coins, because this is the generation that we're in, and we need advocates to really speak the importance of emotional and mental well-being.
So when we're talking about well-being, because I know at one point, because I probably stay on TikTok more than I should. Hi, I'm hooked on the clock app. Um, at one point, there was a very robust conversation going on about shadow work. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so shadow work allows you, as the person, to really do your own healing. And
Mhm.
so you're really connecting with yourself. And some of that work is guided through different workshops and different books, but it allows you to take your healing into your own hand. It allows you to go deeper and do some introspective work,
Mhm.
because a lot of times we're dealing with the stuff on the outside. We want to look at the external person who did this or that. But a lot of times, until we are present with ourselves, we can't go deep enough to see where the root of that issue is. So, shadow work has been around, and there's so many elements of introspective work. We all have to really figure out, well, what works for me? What is the method that I want to heal through, and then utilize it.
So, because I just saw a question come up from a friend that sent it to me. How do you avoid the space of once you start recognizing the truths about yourself, that it really is, like in the Scooby Doo cartoon, when they take the mask off and they show the villain. How do you handle when you're the villain in a
Mm.
space that not condemnation? How do you reconcile without condemnation or beating yourself up that because you have made decisions in an unhealed space, you've made bad choices? How do you help somebody not beat themselves up?
Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely think that you want to make sure that you have a safe tribe. And what I mean about that is everybody can't hold that for you. So that's when you start to move away from people who can't support you and get around a tribe of those who create safety for you. So you can be vulnerable about this new awareness that you have, and then seek out some professional help. Have Let that person walk you through the journey, so you won't do the self-judgment and all of the critical pieces that come up when we have what we're talking about is self-awareness. A lot of us don't have self-awareness, but sometimes when you reflect on new information, it begins to make you feel really, really, really bad. So hats off for those who are identifying things that they don't like about themselves.
Mhm.
Now that you know, you can work on those things.
So, because I've seen it, not just in others, but I remember when I had to start doing the shadow work and a deep dive. And when you come to that space where you're like, oh, oh, it's been me. Ah, it's been me. And if you're, like you said, if you're not in a space where you have a good unit around you, it's easy to delve into that other side of what's the point. Or even
Yes,
there are some people that's like, yes, I know I'm all the things, but they don't do anything to change.
yes. And then for the friends who are holding space, um, for the friends who can't see themselves, sometimes you even have to take a step back.
Mhm.
Don't create any codependency. Don't become God for someone who's not ready to do that work. So sometimes it's, this is not healthy. This relationship is not healthy, and I need to step back and allow this person a space to heal. So that can be hard as well.
And I like how you phrase that because today at church, we're doing a series called Relationships. And Dr. Daniels had,
You go to my church.
you do it in my church. And Dr. Well, you saw it. And Dr. Daniels was saying that there's some people that you can be as toxic and dysfunctional as you want to be. I don't have to be there. And it's okay to make that decision to remove yourself if it's not beneficial to you. But I
Step
think
aside.
it's okay, because I think, the phrase struggle love has us tied to a lot of associations that have hit their expiration date.
Yes, yes.
And it's a lot of it is tied into what you're saying about your emotional well-being and recognizing what works for you and having the courage, or as you coined, the act of yes. So tell us about the act of yes.
Yeah. So before I tell you about the act of yes, I really want to take you down a journey again of why yes and not no. So for those who don't know, I have a book called The Dumping Ground, and I created that book as my own shadow work. The Dumping Ground is really about setting boundaries. No is a complete sentence. And I needed to tell myself no in a lot of areas. And so I created a book for me and for those who needed to tell themselves no. But what I realized through my journey is that I didn't really know what yes was. So when I said no, I kept saying no, but then I found myself in situations still that I didn't like. So I had to step back and say, not only do you need to say no, but you need to know what you want to say yes to.
Now, Miss
So you
Latasha,
can say no.
we cannot run past this title. You can't run past you are not going Usain Bolt me past this title. No, ma'am. The dumping ground. That is so, it's so full, because where were you? Because that's speaking volumes about where you were in your space. Because when I hear the dumping ground, I get a space where emotionally you were taking on everybody's stuff that wasn't yours and the weight of carrying it.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes, yes. So the cover of the book, you'll see a lady, she holding her hands like this, and there's a whole bunch of junk covering her up. And if I think about where I was, I really feel like I was where a lot of women are and was. Taking on the stress of aging parents, taking on the stress of I need to be this and do that, taking on the stress of what society says about I need to be married, taking on the stress of what religious institutions have traumatized you to believe about God, taking on the I need to be super thin and I need to have hair like this or that. Either, I'm too white if I got a perm, if I haven't gone natural, I'm not black enough. All of that over the years gets dumped on you, and then you begin to try to please all of those areas. And so the dumping ground was my loud cry of saying no to all of these things. And I got good at it. I said it in a mean way. I said it in a nice way. I just said it. I stuck my chest out and said it. And then I changed my mind because I didn't have any values attached to it. I was just saying no all over the place. I didn't know how to keep the no. The no was quiet. The no was loud. And then I found myself saying, well, what do I want to do? I don't say it no. I don't move everybody out. I'm lonely now. So what?
Hey, Mr. Tasha, were you in the mirror practicing? No.
Oh, you gotta practice, because if you
said no.
Because when you get in front of somebody, if you ain't practiced that no, it's gonna be maybe, it's gonna be no, but okay, I can do it. You go get talked into or manipulated into something, because no also had a price, because you wanted to be needed by people. So the internal struggle of no was really counterintuitive of our basic needs. We want belonging, we want meaning, and we want to be loved. And no wasn't getting me that. So now I'm alone, and I said no.
So it also had that tinge of people pleasing in there too that we don't.
We ain't gonna say tinge, we gonna say bolder. people pleasing is always around the corner when you're thinking about saying no or saying yes. We
Mm-hmm.
weren't taught to advocate for ourselves in our families of origin. It was either a strong yes or a strong no,
But
or
I've been
nothing.
told that if I'm not a nice person if I don't say yes, though. I mean, I gotta say yes, Miss Latasha, because I don't want them. What will people think of me if I say no?
Mm. Or what would you think of yourself?
Because I
Because
mean, because what are they gonna think about me if I say no?
I would
Because
say,
Sister Sally worked 8 jobs and she still find a time to sing in the choir. She lead the nursery. She been paving the highway on the weekends, and then she made muffins for breakfast. So how can I say no?
mm, mm, mm. First of all, you need to get out of her business because we oftentimes are mind reading about what we think somebody go feel about us. We are
Mm-hmm.
too high and mighty on ourselves. That's really what it is. It has nothing to do with someone else. We think that everybody need us. They may manipulate us into thinking they need us and we need them, but really it's our over inflamed heads about we can save the world, playing God all over the place.
Ooh. I One of my favorite artists that's in my phone. Her name is the Joy Soul Experience, and it's a whole album of affirmations.
Mm.
And I was sitting here working. I was just taking it in, and I was like, yes, yes, yes. And she said, I released myself of the need to be needed. And I sat here like,
Ooh.
shots fired, because I didn't realize how much of a thing that was where you have to deliver yourself from the need to be needed.
And most times you are so right. Most times we are trying to set these external boundaries when really we need to honor the commitment we made to ourselves. Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we are lying to ourselves about what we need. And so we want to say no and point our fingers at other people, but I need to say no to myself.
Mm-hmm. And I
Before.
like how you mentioned that in order to say yes, you had to figure out what you were saying, what you needed.
Mm-hmm.
And how
Yeah.
hard was that after being one that took on the dumping ground? How hard was it for you to define you?
Yeah, yeah. So the dumping ground was really a restorative healing process for me because that was the first time I recognized that me as the mental health professional had some anxiety. I was hiding in plain sight. That book brought me so much anxiety because I had a fear of what people were going to think, right? So you're writing this book and you want to heal people, but now you're scared to be seen. Oh, the Lord dealt with me on that, baby. He said, either you want to heal people or you don't. So you need to make up your mind because you go get healed through this journey. So although I thought the book was really about helping women and doing all these things,
It was for you.
I was hiding in plain sight. I was showing up half time and not full time. And he started speaking to me about you care more about what these people think versus what I think. And so it was a struggle. I learned about my values and worth. I learned that they were very loose and they were conditional based on what was going on. If I felt good, I valued this. If I didn't feel good, I valued that. So beginning the journey of the act of yes really cultivated some self awareness. It allowed me to identify my values and prioritize them because we'll have a value, but then it's down real low. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's down real low, you don't really value it. So you're lying to yourself if you say you value this and you don't operate in it. Um, it allowed me to really focus in on my desires and make conscious decisions. Like I ain't drunk making a decision. It's like there's some awareness going on. I am wide open, eyes wide open, making a decision. I'm not being swayed because of what somebody else is doing. It embraces the overall wholeness of just being authentic to yourself first before you can be authentic to yourself. You can't be authentic to anyone else if you're lying to yourself, because then you're lying to them. So there's no integrity in the relationship with you, then there's no integrity in the relationship with another person. So it does require letting go of some things. So I had to say bye-bye to fear in the context of how it was showing up in my life. We all have some fears. And so that keeps us humble, but it shouldn't be clouding you. You shouldn't be coming up with quick fixes to get rid of fear, because those quick fixes, you'll have to set a boundary for later.
So what are some examples of quick fixes for fear?
Oh, okay.
Because wait, my mama sent me a message, said, get this little piece. Hold on. She told me to get this piece. Okay. So what are some quick fixes?
Okay, so a quick fix would be, let me see one that stands out. Okay, so we're both in a coaching and speaking realm. A quick fix for me would be to continue taking a job, serving at a low level when I know God has given me gifts and talents to reach the masses. So this is easy over here. I've been doing it for 20 years. I can do it with my eyes closed, but I'm fearful to ask for more over here. So I'm going to keep taking less over here and then work myself into the grave and then be tired and frustrated with my lips poked out.
Heal the peoples. So how often do you see that, especially in Black women?
Let's say every day. I see it in obviously my practice. I see it with colleagues. I see it. We have so many gifts and so many talents that we are fearful to be brilliant and shine. Because of our family of origin, because of what society says, because of what men says, we know that we have more potential to do more, but sometimes we don't have the resources. Sometimes we don't ask for help. So then we struggle and then get mad when the other person does it, and then we want to hate on them. So there's this circular process that takes place. Sometimes we're in it, sometimes we're advocating against it, and so it's pretty important to identify, your yes list. What is your yes list? The things that if you would close your eyes and not get paid for, what are those things on your yes list? Those things that don't limit your belief, that maybe cause some excitement and fear, things that won't hold you back on pursuing all that God has created you to do, those things that truly matter. Not this matters a little bit. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to go buy this purse because that's going to make me feel good in a moment because I saw somebody on social media with the purse and it looked amazing. Starting small, setting achievable goals, not goals that you can't achieve. So don't set yourself up for failure. Taking incremental steps towards aligning your actions with your true self. It just builds momentum over time, and eventually you will be checking off your yes list and not checking off your no list.
So we inadvertently self-sabotage ourselves.
Every day. All day.
Because sometimes as you were speaking, I often hear when people talk about the nefarious they. What will they say? What will they think? Who am I to do X, Y, Z? So we're already built up a narrative of resistance that doesn't even exist.
And what I say to that is mind your business
And drink water.
and drink water. That's the old folks say. Drink some water, sit down, be quiet. Mind your business. When your mind starts to go to, oh, I wonder if they, mind your business.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't your concern.
Because would you say that that still sits in that people pleasing realm? That if
I
you're
think it,
taking the other people into consideration for your decisions?
I think it's the people pleasing realm. I think it's I'm not good enough realm. Um, it's the comparison realm. It's the I'm distracted and can't focus and need to do some mindfulness realm. It's all of that. It's the I started off on a vision and I am not courageous enough to say this was not my dream. This was somebody
Hmm.
else's dream.
You said a mouthful right there in and of itself. So we have to come back and unpack that one too, because taking on somebody else's dream and then not watching it manifest, that's a lot.
Mhm.
Because I can see how that's part of the dumping ground.
Yes, yes. At the end of our days, whenever, God says, this is it for you,
Mhm.
wouldn't it be wonderful to have lived out your own dream? Um, Done some things that made you happy and left an impact. Um, we all have whatever gift that God has given us here on this earth, and we just have to get clear, get
Mhm.
focused, move all of the distractions out of the way so we can hear it, get this assistant that we need to walk it out and live our life.
I love that because as you're speaking, I know people that are terrified to make decisions that go against what their perceived assignment on this earth is going to be. It was like, well, I've always wanted to do that. Well, why didn't you? Because I didn't want nobody to say anything and look at me like I'm weird. Okay, but you're in a career that you hate. You're doing things that you hate, but you're satisfying other people. They were like, yes, but you're miserable. Yes. Why won't you move? Because I don't want them to say anything. That is to be for some people, and I'm glad you're breaking this down because that's terrifying for some people to move from the dumping ground to yes, because it's a lot of work in between. And I'm glad that you've been very intentional not to sugarcoat it and make it out to be that you got there in like 10 days.
Oh no, I'm still on the journey, y'all.
I'm glad you're not making it out to be like, in 30 days you were there with no issues and no problems. This takes a while to identify and heal. Now, in your book, do you outline the steps where they can take to heal?
so so my second book will do that. The first book gives some real life examples because when we're talking about when people are listening, they're like, yeah, I understand. But then sometimes you need real practical examples. And so I have stories that really speak to where people can see themselves at. Sometimes no one really wants to see themselves until they see themselves on paper. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's me. So it walks you through some basic areas where people end up saying yes when they really meant to say no. Some of those misalignments, and it gives you some questions and some practical things to consider. I think my area now is the power of the active yes, identifying what boundaries you need to live a life of wellness. And so it's going to require you to really sit with what do I want to do? A lot of
Mm.
times when you ask that question of people, they say, I don't know.
Or
Or they
it's so broad where it's like, okay, what does that look like? Because our default will always be, I want to be happy. Okay, but what does that look like for you?
And and I'll add to that. For me, I want to know how it feels. So sometimes clients are angry at me when they come in the office because I'm always talking about, well, tell me how that feels. Like, can you draw a picture of it? Feel it in your body. Have you ever felt it before? And I want to plug this right now because we talked about how long this process is going to take. Trauma alive never dies. So if you're trying to build an 8-figure business and you have not dealt with your trauma, whatever that looks like, we ain't defining what that is for you. Trauma could be you lost your dog died and you still grieving 5 years later. That was a traumatic event for you. So if you are getting stuck, you want to reflect on, what haven't I dealt with that's keeping me in this place? You go in circles. Sometimes you go left, you go right. But some of that has to do with, I need to do some deeper work, as you stated earlier, with the shadow work or with the therapist or with a trauma informed practitioner or with a coach that can walk you down this journey.
Oh no, ma'am, I'm not doing none of the things. I'm just gonna bounce to another situation that doesn't allow me, where I don't have to do that. I'm just gonna create chaos where I go. Okay, so y'all not gonna talk to me. Okay, so I'm just gonna go find a new group of people that don't know me, and I'm just gonna take my unhealed self over there. Okay, you figured me out. Okay, I'm gonna go over to this group, and so I'm making light of it, but we've seen people do that.
Yes, 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 and it happens. If you're not going to work on yourself, then you're not going to be able to work on all of these goals. So, working through it, working with someone, everybody has their rock bottom that they hit. Um, but the days are short. It is February 18th. We were just screaming Happy New Year.
Mm-hmm.
It's moving. We don't have a lot of time. Most of us have less days in front of us than we do behind us.
We do.
And so
So,
you get to choose.
so when does the new book come out?
I am in proposal. I would say probably, I'm being honest with myself, third or fourth quarter. I am not putting any undue pressure, but I do have a tribe of people who are holding me accountable. And I think my first book, it was all about me. I'm like, ooh, God revealed so much, but I want to make sure that I am tapping into some of the themes that I see on a regular basis from women. So third or fourth quarter, it is coming out.
Because we have to have you back, because you have given us a lot to think about and unpack. And I love the framing of the act of yes, because in my own journey, I had to find that. And I'm glad you gave it a name, because I didn't have a name for it. It was just like, okay, I got to figure this out. I've done things other people's way for long enough. I was honestly on vacation on the back of a bicycle taxi of all places to get insight. And it was like, okay, I think I want to figure out what I'm supposed to do in this world. I want to live a big, unapologetic life, but I must first figure out what that looks like. And it had to start with me learning to say no to things that didn't fall into that category. So for a lot of people, they were in a shock. I was wondering if you could know. Can you know? Would you know? Can't. You weren't thinking, because it was no. You heard me say no to them. So I don't know why you came over here and said no. It's no. And I caught myself when they're like, you have said no to everybody. Okay, I may have to reverse engineer this thing and start easing some yeses into this. You want to go out to lunch? Yeah. You want to hang out? Yes. Movies? Yes. So it was my gradual process. So thank you for giving a name that I was practicing, the act of yes, because I didn't have a name for it. I was like, I just need to figure out this too much. I'm taking on too much, and let me create a space for myself. So thank you for giving me the phrase that I was going through. So before we head out, are there any other final thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, I want to leave the listeners with just some quick steps. I think it's always good to give them something that they can do like quickly. So if you're thinking about the active yes of well-being, you definitely want to have some mindfulness practices that allow you to tap into some self-awareness. You definitely want to challenge yourself to step out of your comfort zone and do something new. One new experience, do something new. Surround yourself with that supportive tribe, that tribe that keeps you safe, that would encourage you, uplift you, but also call you out on your mess. Develop a mindset of resilience and optimism, but not fake positivity. You
Mm.
don't need to be happy all the time, because if that ain't how you feeling, you need to show up as your true and authentic self. And then practice wellness activities. It don't have to be what's out on the social media world. Wellness for you may be silence. Somebody else's wellness may be taking a walk. Whatever that is, identify it for yourself, and then set some clear intentions and goals that align with your values, and take into consideration those actions that you need to move forward. So that is what I would say about the active yes for well-being.
Yes, and I think I got them all, and I'll put them in the comments. Yeah, I got them all. Thank you, beautiful, so much
You're
for this. I know
welcome.
you have another schedule, another event to go to, but thank you for sharing your time with
You're
us.
welcome.
Thank you for sharing your talents. Have an amazing, wonderful day.
Thank you.
I don't know what the weather is like on your part, but the sun is kind of still out. So I'm gonna go walk my vicious attack chihuahua. Okay, she thinks she's a German Shepherd, so that's a whole nother conversation. She walks down the sidewalk like she is a big dog.
Well, I appreciate you all. I am going to go walk two Shih Tzus and a baby pit bull.
Woo! And see, the problem is the pit bull still thinks he's at the same size as the other dogs.
Right. But the little Shih Tzu who's a little younger gets at her like it's the big dog runs from the little dog. It's hilarious. So
It is so funny, and it's weird to see the little big dogs are scared of little dogs. They really are, because it's like they don't know what to do with them. Like, what I do with this? I don't, because when I would walk Zoe, there was a man before he passed. He had two greyhounds, beautiful. And I think Zoe came up to the greyhound's knee, and they just looked down like, what I do with this?
they don't know. They
And
don't
she's like,
know.
you want something? And they're like, I don't know what you are. And then she's looking up them like, you big. And they're like, I don't, what is this? This is a fur baby. And I've seen her punk out big dogs. And that
Yes,
just
yes,
made her ego get large.
yes, yes. Well, I enjoyed it. I hope you have me back. This was fun.
Oh, definitely, because when your new book launches, we need to bring you back. Thank you for the act of yes. Be blessed, be amazing.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
beautiful. Bye, y'all.